Ethan.
Quite making it.
Happy birthday. I don't have my ukulele's too far away. I just have to put up with me singing. To you.
Rocking.
Happy birthday.
Okay.
To you.
Hi, Ethan. I hope you had a great birthday, Ethan. Happy birthday. I don't have my ukulele's too far away.
Happy birthday to you. I said Jacob then because Jacob said hello at the same time. To you. Oh, the brain.
Happy birthday.
My brain.
Dear Jacob.
Okay, I reckon we might be.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, all right. And we're just past 3.
I said Jacob because Jacob said hello at the same time to Ethan.
How's everyone's day today been?
Oh, the brain.
Hope you've all had a good day.
My brain.
Scruffy's in the house. Ira is sleeping next door. She brought a bird in this morning.
There we go. All right. And we're just past 3. Okay. How's everyone's day today been?
In the doghouse.
Hope you've all had a good day.
House, she's just
Scruffy's in the house. Ira is sleeping next door. She brought a bird in this morning.
Great stuff.
So she's in
George. George is ready.
She's in the cat house.
We've got Harvey on
By
YouTube.
which I mean she's in
Jade is here.
Like, no. Because, in the doghouse is the phrase. She's not literally in a house, though. She's just sleeping
Jay's
on my
on
bed.
the
It's hardly.
phone to Kane again.
Hardly a
How
tough
you do,
tough
Jay?
life. Deal's just been for a walk. Great stuff. Hi, George. George is ready. We got Harvey on YouTube. Jade is here.
Wow.
Wow.
Not as many photos.
Jay's on the phone to Kane
normal,
again.
I would say.
Is that all you do, Jade?
We got a few
Cool.
first-time photos from people we didn't get photos from. Hi, Harry. So
What do you even
that was really
talk
nice
about
to see.
for that much?
Cool.
Wow.
He's going to be walking Freddy
I've got
later. That's
not
really
as
cool.
many photos as normal, I would say.
Okay.
But we got a few
Alright,
first-time
should we just get
photos
straight to
from
it?
people we don't usually get photos from. Hi, Harry.
Business before we
So
crack
that
on,
was really nice to
with
see.
our photos and things.
Katie's going to be walking Freddy later. That's really cool.
Always talking to him. Crikey, O'Reilly.
Okay,
then,
well,
let's.
I don't know. Should we just
do
get
it.
straight to it?
I'm going to start with.
Is there any other business before we
We've got
crack
some
on
baking pictures.
with our photos and
We'll
things?
start with Ryan. Now, Ryan. I'm not entirely sure if it
always
was all
talking
this
to him.
week.
Crikey, O'Reilly. Right then,
Ryan has been
let's do it.
on a bit
I'm
of
gonna
a
start
baking
with some
marathon,
baking.
I'd say. And
We've
he's
got some
done
baking
4
pictures.
of the different
I'm going to
things
start with
that,
Ryan. Now,
I
Ryan,
sent out over the last few weeks.
I'm not entirely
So
sure if it
he's
was all
made the
this week.
flapjacks, if you all remember
but
the flapjacks. Looks like he's got some raisins in
Ryan
there,
has
that's great.
been
He
on a
also
bit of a
made
baking
cookies. That
marathon,
was
I'd
from-
say. And he's done
the first
4
week
of the
cookies?
different things
No,
that
Second week, I
I've
think.
sent out over the last
Maybe
few
the third.
weeks.
What are we?
So he's made the
This is
flapjacks,
eight
if you all remember the flapjacks.
Of,
Looks like he's got some raisins in there, looks
cookies.
great.
And up next
He
we've
also
got a
made the
scone
cookies,
he
that was
made.
from... Was that the first week cookies?
And
No,
last
no,
week,
no. The second
if anyone-
week, I think.
if anyone made this,
Maybe
I'd
the
like
third.
to hear about it.
What are weeks anymore? This is the 8th week of
He made the
us
flourless
doing home activities.
chocolate.
And
So if
up
anyone
next we've
made
got a
this chocolate cake,
scone that
didn't
he
require
made.
any flour. I'm really, really curious if it tasted
And then
good.
lastly, and if anyone
So,
if anyone made this, I'd like to hear
let me
about it.
know what you think. If it was a
He
good,
made the flourless
tasty cake. I really
chocolate
don't know.
cake. So if anyone made the chocolate cake that didn't require any flour, I'm really, really curious if it tasted good or not.
Cool.
So,
Harry got his Blu-ray today, and
Let me
Daniel's
know.
here too, and Kane's here. How about that?
what you think? If it was
And
if it was
someone
a
else
good,
made the chocolate cake was Sophia.
tasty cake, I really don't know.
So here's Sophia mixing her cake together. And guys, I had a real shock when I opened up my emails on...
Cool, Harry got his Blu-ray today,
it's
and
probably
Daniel's
been
here
twice
too,
on
and Kane's here.
YouTube.
How about that?
Oh dear.
And someone else who made the chocolate cake was Sophia. So here's Sophia mixing her cake together. And guys, I had a real shock when I opened up my emails on... just realised you're probably hearing me twice on YouTube. Oh dear. Sorry. There you go. Oh, there we go. Sorry, got distracted there. I open up my emails, so I was off on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. I open up my emails, and the first one I see is the one from Sophia, of her doing her different baking and some of the other activities she's done. I'm looking at these pictures, and I'm like, wow, these are really cool pictures. And then I get to this next one, And she's written my name on the cake. That was really nice of you to do, Sophia. Thank you so much for doing that. That was a nice, lovely way to get back to work. After my few days off, to come back and see my name on a cake. Matt McCarty's here too. Wow, we've got a few first timers here today. Hope you're doing well, Kane. On Monday, we had our camping, and I don't know how many people actually spent the night in their tent, but I'm pretty sure that this man here did, Mr. George Hiley. Here he is toasting his marshmallow over his tiny little miniature campfire, aka a candle. Tell you what, the day afterwards, I managed to find some big marshmallows, so I really annoyingly had those tiny ones. But yeah, so here's George in his tent. And flip it around. Ooh-hee. Can I zoom in? There we go. Here he is. Oh, I had another picture. It seems to have disappeared. But yeah, so well done, George, for managing to spend a night in a tent. Lost track of everything. Alright, cool. Thanks, Kane. You're a legend too. Yeah, they're really cool pictures, so well done anyone who made that. I'm really curious about that chocolate cake, if it tasted any good or not. Sometimes I do the baking I send out, but this was one I didn't do. Because, you know, I was having a day off. So I don't know. Why is Ali G being mentioned? I'm very confused. Wow. Right, up. Next, we have some hands. So you may remember on Wednesday our well-being activity was to draw a picture around your hand and then write the names of some people you can trust and you rely on the fingers. So here's Alex's one. So he's put Lizzie, Dad, Freddie, Lindsay, and Mum on his. So that was really cool. Well done. Interesting. And then hi Ethan. So Ethan's watching. I've just had a message, but apparently he can't put any comments. So Ethan's here too. So hello Ethan. And then here's Sophia's hand drawing she did. Great. Right then. Let's have a quick look, see if I can figure out why Ethan can't do any comments. Here we are. Comment moderation, let's see. Should be set to anyone. Yeah, not set. Should be anyone should be able to leave their comments, but for some reason Ethan can't. I don't know. I don't understand why that is, Ethan. Sorry about that. I would say maybe try going on the Yellow Submarine page. Hi, Matty. You can't see me on your TV. Well, I don't know why that is, Lloyd. Probably something up with your TV. Right. Next up, we've got people's news from the week. What people have been up to. We're going to start with, well, the man I was just talking about, Ethan. So Ethan made his very own scrambled eggs. So I don't know if you remember, a couple of weeks ago, I was challenging people to make their own, do something they've never done before, or try something by themselves. And here Ethan is, making some scrambled eggs. And they look delicious. Look at that. Makes me really want some scrambled egg. Florence eats scrambled egg all the time. I feel like every time I turn around, she's got a plate of scrambled eggs in her hand. And here he is, big smile for his scrambled eggs. I don't know what to do. Looks like he's got a tossed salad and scrambled eggs. Yeah, nice. This looks really great, Ethan. So well done. Ethan has also been busy in his garden. And he's been doing some planting. And he's been growing some beans. So he originally started putting them in the plant, in a little pot. And they've gotten so big now that he's had to move them into a flower bed / bean bed. Oh, I knew I had another picture of George in his tent. Here it is. Hey, there he is. Good man. Well done, George, for doing that. Oh, I see. I think I know what the problem is. There, cool. Are you trying to watch it on YouTube, Lloyd? I think that's what's frozen. It's paused. Hopefully that's back up and running now. And probably a little bit behind. Because they've still got a picture of the cake with my name up on YouTube. So you guys are a little bit behind. Hopefully it'll catch up soon. But yeah, you still get to hear all the same stuff. Speaking of baking earlier on, George has been a busy man. And he made... Oh, no. He made something. I can't remember what it was. I don't know if it said. It might have just said baking. Because I've just written baking down. So, we'll see. Hopefully if George is here, he can tell us what he's made. George slept better in the tent than he does in bed. Whee! More baking now. Next we've got James, who made mud pie. This looks absolutely delicious. I might have to look up the recipe and we can all make mud pie next week because this looks great. Looks really chocolatey and fantastic. So nice one, George. James. Oh, I'll get my names all mixed up. Alright. Where are we now? Lloyd! As always, Lloyd has done some excellent colouring in. He's gone for a bit of a darker colour this time. He usually does lots of bright colours, but look at this. He's got some greys in there. And kind of like a not quite as bright, kind of pale blue. I think it looks really great as well. So, this is what's your favourite fruit. I do wonder which one of these is your favourite fruit, Lloyd. If I had to pick one out of all these, I'd go for the grapes, I reckon. I do love grapes. I'd say mango is my favourite fruit, but yeah. And then he's also done one of some vegetables. Looking pretty psychedelic, that corn. Look at that orange colour. With his red peas and his blue pumpkin. I love it. Well done, Lloyd. And lastly, I've got some news from Rose. We don't tend to have Rose here on the live stream. Madeira cake. I prefer my poorer cake. Hello. Cheaper cake. I messed it up. I prefer my cheaper cake, not Madeira cake. Rose has started taking up running, and it's taken her a long time to kind of be able to do this. So we've got a video of Rose doing some running here. She's been working really hard trying to be able to do it. Look at this lovely field she's in too. Looks really nice. She's running away. Where's she going? Rose, come back! Come back, Rose! Where are you going? Ah, thank you. Oh, she's coming back. Thought we were going to lose her for a second. Really windy day you were in. I don't know if you can hear the wind. I mean, the wind of the weather. I'm not saying. I've eaten loads of beans. Nice one. Well done, Rose. Great running. Really impressive. Hey, well done, Rose. And we have to say a really big thank you to Rose's family, actually, because they made a very generous donation to Yellow Submarine. So if you guys are watching, thank you so much. It really means a lot that you donated that money to us. So thank you to Rose's family. Yeah, I've only got a few photos left. And then I guess I'll just get on with the twits. We're zooming ahead this week and last week. Usually it would come to like 4 o'clock and I'm still showing photos, but not had so many today. Yeah. Cool. Alright, so I've just got a couple of swan photos to show you. And then, well, we're pretty much done, aren't we? So, first up we've got, let me just spin it around, Alex's swan drawing. So well done, Alex. Lovely picture there. And we've got, now James did the origami swans with me on Friday. And hey, look at that. He did a fantastic job. Really like this one where you've done 2 different colours of paper in the same one. That looks really cool. That was a great idea. So well done, James. That's cool. I love you've done the big one and the smaller ones. Oh, I was supposed to show you all a signet photo of the signets, which we were making these all in honour for. Ah, Florence has gone out and it's on her camera. Oh, the camera's right in front of me. Ooh. Oh, I don't have a cable for it. Alright, I'll just have to kind of show you it on the camera. Won't look as good. Let me get one up. Whoop. There we go. Right. And lastly, here's John's swan. And he made a cool background for them to swim on. Look, they're swimming on the little river. Look close, this one's got an eye drawn on. So well done, John. This looks fantastic. Fantissimo. And now I shall try and attempt to show you the signets. Look at these. Look how cute and fluffy they are. Look at that. So that's what we made these for, because these guys hatched. I've got a picture of them with their mum. No, but here's a really cute one of them. Look at them. I mean, come on now. We waited weeks for these things to hatch. And when they did not disappoint. Look how cute and fluffy they are. Hoo-wee! Cool. Oh, that's very nice of you to say, Adil. Oh, look at that. People love your swans, James Bond. Can't get enough of them. Amazing. Cool. Well, I guess we just got to get onto the twits. Unless anyone has any news they want to tell us about in the comments before we do. Would love to hear it. Otherwise, I'll get Instagram here and we'll start reading the book. Might even be able to finish it if we're going this early. Oh, a deal! I've got a picture from you! Oh, hang on. Let me see if I can find it. It should be in here. I don't know why it didn't show up. Yeah. Should be by scrambled eggs. Where is it? Why is it not here? Ah! Here it is! Adil, yeah, Adil's been working all week. And he sent us this photo of an empty shelf, and his job is to let me just get it up. My job's title is to fill in missing star lines and stacking shelves. So all these empty shelves. Hey, Molly's back. Guess who's back? Back again. Molly's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? 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 Oh, you did send me a photo as well, Katie. God, I've not been on it today, have I? Of Katie enjoying the disco. Oh. Tell you what, having those few days off has got me a bit muddled. So some stuff I have missed, I think, this week. Maybe that's why there are so few pictures this week. Because I'm a little bit all over the place. I reckon I can get this just for you though, Katie. Sharing Sunday. There it is. Oh, you sent me loads of stuff. Hang on. I will get these for you. She sent me some cake she's been making. This chocolate cake looks great, Katie. Hopefully I can get it up for everyone else to see as well. Here it is. I'm sure you sent me one of you dancing at the disco. Oh, where is it? Where are you, Katie? Where are you? I'm sure you sent me a disco photo at some point. But I'm not seeing it for some reason. Oh well. I've got some Katie pictures. Let's see if I can now get these on for you everyone to see. Let's see, did I get them on successfully? Where are they? No, hang on. Right, let's try. Bear with me 1 second, guys. I'm on it. There we go. Here they are. Here's some things Katie has sent. So this is when Katie made flapjacks. Here she is standing proud with her flapjacks, as she should be. They look fantastic. Bravissimo! I can't find the one of you doing the disco one you sent me. I'm not entirely sure why. And then here's... Look at this chocolate cake. How amazing does that look? Great job, Katie. Well done. Right. Sorry about that. Ugh. It was on Facebook comments, that's why. Oh, Eid next weekend. Oh, that'll be fun. A deal. There we go. Well, I think that's as assuming I haven't missed anyone else who had sent them on time, then I think that's all our pictures. Oh, phew! There you go. Yeah, sorry about that, Katie. But now it's time to read the twits. Crikey, O'Reilly. Depends on the moon. Oh, yeah. Wow. Let's get, what you call it here? Instagram. Hey! Instagram! We're going to finish, well, no. Might not finish it. We're going to carry on with, the twits. George did another music quiz with his friends in France. I'm thinking that our quiz on Tuesday, we might do it on Zoom, I reckon. Hey Azim! Welcome. Welcome. I'm glad you got some colouring pens as well, Lloyd. I know you enjoy doing your colouring, so that'll be helpful. Now, there we go. Okay, so last week we started the twits. We heard about Mr. Twit and Mrs. Twit and the horrible tricks they like to play on each other. So Mrs. Twit has a glass eye, and she put that glass eye in Mr. Twit's drink. So he, in return, put a frog in her bed. And then in return for that, Mrs. Twit fed him spaghetti which had worms in it. And then to get revenge on that, Mr. Twit tricked Mrs. Twit into thinking she had something called the shrinks. So every night he made her walking stick shorter and shorter and shorter. And he said the only way to stop the shrinks was to give her a stretching. So he tied a bunch of balloons to her hands and she tied her to the ground so they would kind of start stretching her. And then he had an even more wicked idea, and he decided to cut the string at the bottom that was holding her to the ground, so she then floated up to the sky. But then she figured out how to break it, and she came down and landed on top of Mr. Twit. And that's pretty much where we got to. We're now about to meet the monkeys. This chapter is called The House, the Tree, and the Monkey Cage. Okay. But that's enough of that. We can't go on forever watching these two disgusting people doing disgusting things to each other. We must get ahead with the story. Here is a picture of Mr. and Mrs. Twit's house and garden. Some house. It looks like a prison and not a window anywhere. Here's the picture. It's quite a big one. So there's the house. There's the rest of the garden. You see there's a cage there. "Who wants windows?" Mr. Twit had said when they were building it. "Who wants every Tom, Dick and Harry peeping in to see what you're doing?" It didn't occur to Mr. Twit that windows were meant mainly for looking out, not for looking into. And what do you think of that ghastly garden? Mrs. Twit was the gardener. She was very good at growing thistles and stinging nettles. "I always grow plenty of spiky thistles and plenty of stinging nettles," she used to say. "They keep out those nasty, nosy children." Near the house you can see Mr. Twit's work shed. To one side there is a big dead tree. It never has any leaves on it because it's dead. And not far away from the tree you can see the monkey cage. There are 4 monkeys in it. They belong to Mr. Twit. You will hear about them later. I'm just going to show you the picture again so you can get a better view of the monkey cage. Next chapter. Hug tight sticky glue. Once a week, on Wednesdays, the Twits had bird pie for supper. Mr. Twit caught the birds and Mrs. Twit cooked them. Mr. Twit was good at catching birds. On the day before Bird Pie Day, he would put the ladder up against the big dead tree and climb into the branches with a bucket of glue and a paintbrush. The glue he used was something called Hug Tight, and it was stickier than any other glue in the world. He would paint it along the tops of all the branches and then go away. As the sun went down, birds would fly in from all around to roost for the night in the big dead tree. They didn't know, poor things, that the branches were all smeared with horrible Hug Tight. The moment they landed on a branch, their feet stuck, and that was that. The next morning, which was Bird Pie Day, Mr. Twit would climb up the ladder again and grab all the wretched birds that were stuck to the tree. It didn't matter what kind they were: song thrushes, blackbirds, sparrows, crows, little Jenny wrens, robins, anything. They all went into the pot for Wednesday's bird pie supper. Karl Mars isn't here, Molly. 4 sticky little boys. One Tuesday evening, after Mr. Twit had been up the ladder and smeared the Hug Tight, 4 little boys crept into the garden to look at the monkeys. They didn't care about the thistles and stinging nettles. Not when there were monkeys to look at. I think I'd be the same if there were monkeys. After a while, they got tired of looking at monkeys, so they explored further into the garden and found the ladder leaning against the big dead tree. They decided to climb up just for fun. The next morning, there's nothing wrong with that. The next morning, when Mr. Twit went out to collect the birds, he found 4 miserable little boys sitting in the tree, stuck as tight as could be by the seats of their pants to the branches. There were no birds because the presence of the boys had scared them away. Mr. Twit was furious. "As there are no birds for my pie tonight," he shouted, "there'll have to be boys instead." He started to climb the ladder. "Boy pie might be better than bird pie," he went on, grinning horribly. "More meat and not so many tiny little bones." The little boys were terrified. "He's going to boil us!" cried one of them. Here they are. There they are. "He'll stew us alive!" wailed the second one. "He'll cook us with carrots!" cried the third. But the 4th little boy, who had more sense than the others, whispered, "Listen, I've just had an idea. We are only stuck by the seat of our pants. So quick, unbutton your pants and slip out of them and fall to the ground." Mr. Twit had reached the top of the ladder and was just about to make a grab for the nearest boy when they all suddenly tumbled out of the tree and ran for home with their naked bottoms winking at the sun. Ooh, The Great Upside Down Monkey Circus. Now, for the monkeys! The 4 monkeys in the cage in the garden were all one family. They were Mugglewump and his wife and their 2 small children. But what on earth were Mr. and Mrs. Twit doing with monkeys in their garden? Well, in the old days, they had both worked in the circus as monkey trainers. They used to teach monkeys to do tricks and to dress up in human clothes and to smoke pipes and all the rest of that nonsense. Today, although they were retired, Mr. Twit still wanted to train monkeys. It was his dream that one day he would own the first great upside-down monkey circus in the world. That meant the monkeys had to do everything upside down. They had to dance upside down, on their hands with their feet in the air. They had to play football upside down. They had to balance on one on top of the other upside down with Mugglewump at the bottom and the smallest baby at the very top. They even had to eat and drink upside down, and that is not an easy thing to do because where food and water has to go up your throat instead of down it. In fact, it is almost impossible, but the monkeys simply had to do it, otherwise they got nothing. All this sounds pretty silly to you and me. It sounds pretty silly to the monkeys too. They absolutely hated having to do this upside down nonsense day after day. It made them giddy, standing on their heads for hours on end. Oh, I should have had it. I don't have the water. Sometimes the 2 small monkey children would faint with so much blood going to their heads. But Mr. Twit didn't care about that. He kept them practicing for 6 hours every day, and if they didn't do as they were told, Mrs. Twit would come running with her beastly stick. The Roly-Poly Bird Rescue. Mugglewump and his family longed to escape from the cage in Mr. Twit's garden and go back to the African jungle where they came from. They hated Mr. and Mrs. Twit for making their lives so miserable. They also hated them for what they did to the birds every Tuesday and Wednesday. "Fly away, birds!" they used to shout, jumping about in the big cage and waving their hands. "Don't sit on that big dead tree! It's just been smeared all over with sticky glue! Go and sit somewhere else!" Here they are. There they are. But these were English birds, and they couldn't understand the weird African language that the monkeys spoke. So they took no notice and went on using the big dead tree and getting caught for Mrs. Twit's bird pie. Then, one day, a truly magnificent bird flew down out of the sky and landed on the monkey cage. "Good heavens!" cried all the monkeys together. "It's the Roly-Poly Bird! What on earth are you doing here in England, Roly-Poly Bird?" Like the monkeys, the Roly-Poly Bird came from Africa, and he spoke the same language as they did. "I've come for a holiday," said the Roly-Poly Bird. "I like to travel." He fluffed his marvellous coloured feathers and looked down rather grandly at the monkeys. "For most people," he went on, "flying away on holidays is very expensive, but I can fly anywhere in the world for nothing." "Do you know how to..." Ooh, that's Mrs. Twit. "Do you know how to talk to these English birds?" Mugglewump asked him. "Oh, of course I do," said the Roly-Poly Bird. "It's no good going to a country and not knowing the language." "Then we must hurry," said Mugglewump. Today is Tuesday, and over there you can already see the revolting Mr. Twit up the ladder painting sticky glue on all the branches of the big dead tree. This evening, when the birds come in to roost, you will warn them not to perch on the tree, or they will be made into bird pie! That evening, the roly-poly bird flew round and round the big dead tree, singing out, There's sticky stuff all over... There's sticky stuff all over the tree. If you land there in the branches, you'll never get free. So fly away, stay up high, or you'll finish up tomorrow in a hot bird pie. No bird pie for Mr. Twit. This chapter kind of... Oh, I'll show you the picture of the roly-poly bird. Here's the roly-poly bird. There's the roly-poly bird. Hello! Some of the chapter titles give you big spoilers. Mugglewump and his family long to escape from the cage in Mr. Twit's garden and go back to the African jungle where they came from. Oh, sorry. Went back to the chapter we were just on. No bird pie for Mr. Twit. That's the big spoiler. The next morning, when Mr. Twit came out with his huge basket to snatch all the birds from the big dead tree, there wasn't a single one on it. They were all sitting on top of the monkey cage. The roly-poly bird was there as well. Mugglewump and his family were inside the cage, and the whole lot of them were laughing at Mr. Twit. Live it up to his name, am I right, Mr. Twit? Still no bird pie for Mr. Twit. Mr. Twit wasn't going to wait another week for his bird pie supper. He loved bird pie. It was his favourite meal. So that very same day, he went after the birds again. This time he smeared all the top of the bars of the monkey cage with sticky glue, as well as the branches of the big dead tree. Now I'll get you, he said. Whichever one you sit on. The monkeys crouched inside the cage watching all this, and later on, when the roly-poly bird came swooping in for an evening chat, they shouted, Don't land in our cage, roly-poly bird! It's covered in sticky glue! So is the tree! And that evening, as the sun went down and all the birds came in to roost again, the roly-poly bird flew around and round the monkey cage, the big dead tree, singing out his warning. There's sticky stuff now on the cage and tree. If you land on either, you'll never get free. So fly away, stay up high, or you'll finish up tomorrow in a hot bird pie. Mr. and Mrs. Twit go off to buy guns. The next morning, when Mr. Twit came out with his huge basket, not a single bird was sitting on either the monkey cage or the big dead tree. They were all perched happily on the roof of Mr. Twit's house. The roly-poly bird was up there as well, and the monkeys were in the cage, and the whole lot of them were hooting with laughter at Mr. Twit. Oh, I wipe that swilly laugh off your beaks! Mr. Twit screamed at the birds. I'll get you next time, you filthy feathery frumps! I'll wring your necks, the whole lot of you, and have you bubbling in the pot for bird pie before the day is out. Here he is, shaking his fist at those birds. Ooh. And here they all are laughing at him. How are you going to do that? Asked Mrs. Twit, who had come outside to see what the noise was about. I won't have you smearing sticky glue all over the roof of our house. Mr. Twit got very excited. I've got a great idea, he cried. He didn't bother to keep his voice down because he didn't think the monkeys could understand. We'll both go into town right away and we'll buy a gun each, he shouted. How's that? Brilliant! Cried Mrs. Twit, grinning and showing her long yellow teeth. We'll buy those big shotguns that spray out 50 bullets or more with each bang! Exactly, said Mr. Twit. Lock up the house while I go and make sure the monkeys are safely shut away. Mr. Twit went over to the monkey cage. Attention! He barked in his fearsome monkey trainer's voice. Upside down, all of you, and jump to it! One on top of the other. Quick, get on with it! You'll feel Mrs. Twit stick across your backsides. Obediently, the poor monkeys stood on their hands and clambered one on top of the other, with Mugglewump at the bottom and the smallest child at the very top. Now stay there till we come back, Mr. Twit ordered. Don't you dare move, and don't overbalance. When we return in 2 or 3 hours' time, I shall expect to find you in exactly the same position you are in now. You understand? With that, Mr. Twit marched away, and the monkeys were left alone with the birds. Mugglewump has an idea. As soon as Mr. and Mrs. Twit had disappeared down their road, the monkeys all flipped back onto their feet the right way up. Quick, get the key! Mugglewump called out to the roly-poly bird, who was still sitting on the roof of the house. What key? Shouted the roly-poly bird. The key to the door of our cage! Cried Mugglewump. It's hanging on a nail in the work shed. That's where he always puts it. The roly-poly bird flew down and came back with the key in his beak. Mugglewump reached a hand through the bars of the cage and took the key. He put it in the lock and turned it. The door opened. All 4 monkeys leapt out together. We are free! Cried the 2 little ones. Where shall we go, Dad? Where shall we hide? Don't get excited, said Mugglewump. Calm down, everyone, because we escaped from this beastly place. Before we escape from this beastly place, we have one very important thing to do. What? They asked him. We're going to turn those terrible twits upside down. We're going to what? They cried. You must be joking, Dad. I'm not joking, Mugglewump said. We're going to turn both Mr. and Mrs. Twit upside down with their legs in the air. Don't be ridiculous, the roly-poly bird said. How can we possibly turn those maggoty old monsters upside down? We can, cried Mugglewump. We're going to make them stand on their heads for hours and hours, perhaps forever. Let them see what it feels like for a change. How? Said the roly-poly bird. Just tell me how. Mugglewump laid his head on one side, and a twinkling little smile touched the corners of his mouth. Now and again, he said, but not very often, I have a brilliant idea. This is one of them. Follow me, my friends. Follow me. He scampered. Oh, hang on. Some of the pictures come before what's happened in the story. Off towards the house, and the 3 other monkeys and the roly-poly bird went after him. Buckets and paintbrushes, cried the Mugglewump. That's what we want next. There are plenty in the workshed. Hurry up, everyone. Get a bucket and a paintbrush. Inside Mr. Twit's workshed, there was an enormous barrel of hug-tight sticky glue, the stuff he used for catching birds. Fill your buckets, Mugglewump ordered. We're now going into the big house. Ooh, show you the picture. There you are. There it is. Mr. Twit had hidden the key to the front door under the mat, and Mrs. Twit had hidden the key to the front door under the mat, and Mugglewump had seen her doing it, so it was easy for them to get in. In they went, all 4 monkeys, with their buckets of sticky glue. Then came the roly-poly bird flying in after them, with a bucket in his beak and a brush in his claw. The great glue painting begins! This is the living room, announced Mugglewump. The grand and glorious living room where these 2 fearful, frumptuous freaks eat bird pie every week for supper. Please don't mention bird pie again, said the roly-poly bird. It gives me the shudders. We mustn't waste time, cried Mugglewump. Hurry up, hurry up. Now the first thing is this. I want everyone to paint sticky glue all over the ceiling. Cover it all. Smear it in every corner. Over the ceiling, they cried. Why the ceiling? Oh, here they are going through the door. Yeah. Never mind why, shouted Mugglewump. Just do as you're told and don't argue. But how do we get up there? They asked. We can't reach. Monkeys can reach anywhere, shouted Mugglewump. He was in a frenzy of excitement now, waving his paintbrush in his bucket and leaping about all over the room. Come on, come on. Jump up on the table, stand on the chairs, hop on each other's shoulders. Roly-Poly can do it flying. Don't stand there gaping, we have to hurry. Don't you understand that? Those terrible twits will be back any moment, and this time they'll have guns! Get on with it, for heaven's sake! Get on with it! And so the great glue painting of the ceiling began. All the other birds who had been sitting on the roof flew in to help, carrying paintbrushes in their claws and beaks. There were buzzards, magpies, rooks, ravens, and many more. Everyone was splashing away like mad, and with so many helpers, soon the job was finished. Ours are Laura birds. The carpet goes on the ceiling. That's not where carpet goes. I wonder if we're going to finish it. We could do. What now? They all said, looking at Mugglewump. Aha! Cried Mugglewump. Now for the fun. Now for the greatest upside-down trick of all time. Are you ready? We're ready, said the monkeys. We're ready, said the birds. Pull out the carpet, shouted Mugglewump. Pull this huge carpet out from under the furniture and stick it to the ceiling. Onto the ceiling? Cried one of the small monkeys. That's impossible, Dad! I'll stick you to the ceiling if you don't shut up, snapped Mugglewump. He's Dotty, they cried. He's balmy. He's batty. He's nutty. He's screwy. He's wacky, cried the He's wacky, cried the roly-poly bird. Poor old Muggles has gone off his wump at last. Do stop shouting such rubbish and give me a hand, said Mugglewump, catching hold of one corner of the carpet. Pull, you nitwits, pull! The carpet was enormous. It covered the entire... I'll show you the picture first before I zoom off ahead. The carpet was enormous. It covered the entire floor from wall to wall. It had a red and gold pattern on it. It is not easy to pull an enormous carpet off the floor when the room is full of tables and chairs. Pull! Yelled Mugglewump. Pull! 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 He was like a demon hopping around the room and telling everyone what to do, but you couldn't blame him. After months and months of standing on his head with his family, he couldn't wait for the time when the terrible twits would be doing the same thing. At least that's what he hoped for. With the monkeys and the birds all pulling and puffing, the carpet was dragged off the floor and finally hoisted up onto the ceiling, and there it stuck. All at once, the whole ceiling of the living room was carpeted in red and gold. Big picture for this one. The furniture goes up. "Now the table, the big table," shouted Mugglewump. "Turn the table upside down and put a dab of sticky glue on the bottom of each leg. Then we shall stick that on the ceiling as well." Hoisting the huge black table upside down onto the ceiling was not an easy job, but they managed it in the end. "Will it stay there?" they cried. "Is the glue strong enough to hold it up?" "It's the strongest glue in the world," Mugglewump replied. "It's the special bird-killing glue for smearing on trees." "Please," said the roly-poly bird, "I have asked you before not to mention that subject. How would you like it if it was monkey pie they made every day, Wednesday, and all your friends had been balled up and I went on talking about it?" "I do beg your pardon," said Mugglewump. "I'm so excited I hardly know what I'm saying. Now the chairs, do the same with the chairs. All the chairs must be stuck upside down to the ceiling." There we are, gluing the table. And here you are, sticking the chairs up too. Do the same with the chairs. All the chairs must be stuck upside down to the ceiling and in their right places. Oh, do hurry up, everybody. Any moment now, those filthy freaks are going to come rushing in with their guns. The monkeys, with the birds helping them, put glue on the bottom of each chair leg and hoisted them up to the ceiling. Now the smaller tables," shouted Mugglewump. "And the big sofa, and the sideboard, and the lamps, all the tiny little things, the ashtrays, the ornaments, and that beastly plastic gnome on the sideboard. Everything, absolutely everything, must be stuck to the ceiling." There they are. Oh, my battery's very low. Can I get to the end of the story before my battery dies? Unless you guys are happy to just look at my chair for 1 minute whilst I crap with my charger. Oh, I've been sat on my foot. I've got a numb foot. Oh. Oh, numb foot. Ah! Oh, I've got to go down the stairs, I think. No, it's here. Oh. Oh, my foot. I've got a really numb foot, everyone. Oh, that was funny. That felt weird. Oh, I've really run down my battery for this stream. I don't know why. There we go. Whew. I'll tell you all what tomorrow's plan is once I've finished reading the story. Ugh. Crikey. What chapter are we on? The furniture goes up. They're not numbered, so I don't know what number. Where were we? Yeah. It was terribly hard work. It was especially difficult to stick everything to the ceiling in exactly its right place. But they got it done in the end. "What now?" asked the roly-poly bird. He was out of breath and so tired he could hardly flap his wings. "Now the pictures!" cried Mugglewump. "Turn all the pictures upside down. And will one of you please fly onto the road and watch to see when those frabjous freaks are coming back?" "I'll go," said the roly-poly bird. "I'll sit on the telephone wires and keep guard. It'll give me a rest." The ravens swoop over. They had only just finished the job when the roly-poly bird came swooping in, screaming, "They're coming back! They're coming back!" Quickly the birds flew back onto the roof of the house. The monkeys rushed into their cage and stood upside down, one on top of the other. A moment later, Mr. and Mrs. Twit came marching into the garden, each carrying a fearsome-looking gun. "Oh, I'm glad to see those monkeys are still upside down," said Mr. Twit. "They're too stupid to do anything else," said Mrs. Twit. Hey, look at all those cheeky birds! Still up there on the roof! Let's go inside and load our lovely new guns, and then it'll be bang, 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 and bird pie for supper! Just as Mr. and Mrs. Twit were about to enter the house, 2 black ravens swooped low over their heads. Each bird carried a paintbrush in its claw, and each paintbrush was smeared with sticky glue. As the ravens whizzed over, they brushed a streak of straight sticky glue on the tops of Mr. and Mrs. Twit's heads. They did it with the slightest touch, but even so, the Twits both felt it. What was that? Cried Mrs. Twit. Some beastly bird has dropped his dirty droppings on my head. On mine too, shouted Mr. Twit. I felt it. I felt it. Don't touch it, cried Mrs. Twit. You'll get it all over your hands. Come inside and we'll wash it off all at the sink. The filthy, dirty brutes, yelled Mr. Twit. I bet they did it on purpose. Just wait till I've loaded up my gun. Mrs. Twit got the key from under the doormat, where Mugglewump had carefully replaced it, and into the house they went. The Twits are turned upside down. What's this? Gasped Mr. Twit as they entered the living room. What happened? Screamed Mrs. Twit. They stood in the middle of the room, looking up. All the furniture, the big table, the chairs, the sofa, the lamps, the little side tables, the cabinet with bottles of beer in it, the ornaments, the electric fire, the carpet, everything was stuck upside down to the ceiling. The pictures were upside down on the walls, and the floor they were standing on was absolutely bare. What's more, it had been painted white to look like the ceiling. Look! Screamed Mrs. Twit. That's the floor! That's the floor up there! This is the ceiling! We're standing on the ceiling! We're upside down! Gasped Mr. Twit. We must be upside down! We are standing on the ceiling, looking down at the floor! Help! Screamed Mrs. Twit. Help, help, help! I'm beginning to feel giddy! So am I! So am I! Cried Mr. Twit. I don't like this one little bit! We're upside down and all our blood's going to my head! Screamed Mrs. Twit. If we don't do something quickly, I shall die! I know I will! I've got it! Cried Mr. Twit. I know what we'll do. We'll stand on our heads. Then anyway, will be the right way up. So they stood on their heads, and of course, the moment the tops of their heads touched the floor, the sticky glue that the ravens had brushed on a few moments before did its job. They were stuck. They were pinned down, cemented, glued, fixed to the floorboards. Through a crack in the door, the monkeys watched. They jumped right out of their cage the moment the Twits had gone inside, and the roly-poly bird watched. And all the other birds flew in and out to catch a glimpse of this extraordinary sight. That's a couple of upside-down Twits right there. Cool, my throat hurts from doing Mrs. Twit's voice. The monkeys escape! That evening, Mugglewump and his family went up to the big wood on top of the hill, and in the tallest tree of all, they built a marvellous tree house. All the birds, especially the big ones, the crows and the rooks and magpies, made their nests around the tree house so that nobody could see it from the ground. You can't stay up here forever, you know, the roly-poly bird said. Why not? Asked Mugglewump. It's a lovely place. Just you wait till winter comes, the roly-poly bird said. Monkeys don't like cold weather, do they? They most certainly don't, cried Mugglewump. Are the winters so very cold over here? It's all snow and ice, said the roly-poly bird. Sometimes it's so cold a bird will wake up in the morning with his feet frozen to the bough that he's been resting on. Then what shall we do? Cried Mugglewump. My family will all be deep freezed. No, they won't, said the roly-poly bird, because when the first leaves start falling from trees in the autumn, you can all fly home to Africa with me. Don't be ridiculous, Mugglewump said. Monkeys can't fly. You can sit on my back, said the roly-poly bird. I shall take you one at a time. You will travel by roly-poly superjet, and it won't cost you a penny. The twits get the shrinks. And down here in the horrid house, Mr. and Mrs. Twit are still stuck upside down to the floor of the living room. It's all your fault, yelled Mr. Twit, bashing his legs in the air. You're the one, you ugly old cow, who went hopping around shouting, we're upside down, we're upside down. And you're the one who said stand on our heads so we'd be the right way up, you whiskery old warthog, screamed Mrs. Twit. Now we'll never get free. We're stuck here forever. You may be stuck here forever, said Mr. Twit, but not me. I'm going to get away. Mr. Twit wriggled and squirmed. He squiggled and wormed, and he twisted and turned, and he chuggled and churned. But the sticky glue held him to the floor as tightly as it had once held the poor birds in the big dead tree. He was still upside down as ever, standing on his head. But heads are not made to be stood upon. If you stand on your head for a very long time, a horrid thing happens. And this was where Mr. Twit got his biggest shock of all. With so much weight on it from up above, his head began to get squashed into his body. Quite soon, it had disappeared completely, sunk out of sight into the fatty folds of his flabby neck. I'm shrinking, burbled Mr. Twit. So am I, cried Mrs. Twit. Help me! Save me! Call a doctor! yelled Mrs. Twit. I'm getting the dreaded shrinks! And so she was. Mr. Twit was getting the dreaded shrinks too, and this time it wasn't a fake; it was the real thing. Their heads shrank into their necks, and their necks began shrinking into their bodies, and their bodies began shrinking into their legs, and their legs began shrinking into their feet. And 1 week later, on a nice sunny afternoon, a man called Fred came round to read the gas meter. When nobody answered the door, Fred peeped into the house, and there he saw, on the floor of the living room, 2 bundles of old clothes, 2 pairs of shoes, and a walking stick. There was nothing more than left in the world of Mr. and Mrs. Twit, and everyone, including Fred, shouted, Hooray! We finished the Twits! How about that? That's another book done. We've read 3 books now. Should we vote on the next one now? I've only got a couple nearby for us to vote on. At least I thought I did. Maybe they've been moved. What have I got nearby? I don't think we'll read The Book Thief. I don't think that's going to be a fun thing to read. One of my favourite books, though. If you're into that kind of thing, I recommend The Book Thief. Tomorrow's plan. Tomorrow is... I'm going to have a challenge for people to do at home. Where have they gone? Could do that. I think that would be alright. yeah, so what was I saying? Tomorrow, there's going to be a challenge. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I don't want to spoil it before that. And also, we're going to play a Star Wars game, maybe. I've not quite decided if we're going to play the Star Wars game or not. But I think we probably will. What have we got? What other books are... This isn't my main collection of books, you see. They are elsewhere. But I don't remember taking them downstairs. I must have, though, when I cleaned up. We'll just have to vote on a book next time. I reckon. I think that's probably the easiest way to do it. Because we probably don't have everyone here anyway. Yeah, so tomorrow I'm going to have a challenge for you all to do. And yeah, we're going to maybe play Battlefront 2. I've not decided. It will be on Facebook live stream, yes. Our next Zoom call will probably be Tuesday. Might do it. The quiz will be partly on Zoom and also on Facebook and YouTube as well. Do send me videos of you saying hello to Flying Fox, the Australian group that are like Yellow Submarine. Hopefully I'm going to have something about that on Facebook tomorrow, so if you don't for some reason get the email, hopefully you'll see something about that soon. And I think that's pretty much all there is to it. So yeah, I shall see you all tomorrow. Hope you all enjoyed the twits. My voice is feeling quite croaky after doing this is twits voice all the time. I haven't really had any water today. Naughty me. Make sure you're all drinking water all the time. I'm not the best at doing it. Yeah, so yeah. Bye everyone, and I shall see you all tomorrow. Oh, you're very welcome, George. Oh, they've changed the way Instagram works. Now I have to save the video, and it's really annoying. Oh. Okay, I think that's done. Alright, yeah. Bye everyone. Thanks everyone for coming.